Some time ago, I made a video about how I found an unreleased Spider-Man VR game. In it, I uncovered a completely different version of Far From Home VR, with features that never made it to the retail game. I came to discover that one of those features were several cut levels, taking place in the sewers of NYC. However, I was unable to play them, at least until just recently, when I received an email from somebody named dHedge. He explained how I could use an unlocking program to open and play the lost levels. After being locked away, hidden in secret for almost 6 years, we finally found Far From Home VR's lost levels. This might be the first time anyone outside the dev team has even seen these levels, let alone played them. In order to access the levels, you'll need to own Far From Home VR on Steam specifically. Given it's been delisted, you might be out of luck here, unless you have a certain skill set. You'll also need to download and unzip a tool called Universal Unreal Unlocker, which I've left a link to in the description. Switch on your Quest, use Virtual Desktop to connect to your PC, and start the game through the VD menu. Then inject the unlocker through the program's interface. This'll unlock the developer console, where you need to enter the command you see on screen. If all goes well, you'll be dropped into the parkour level, the very same spot where I discovered that I could not friggin' move. This was literally impossible for me to fix. I tried everything, so dHedge came in clutch and recorded the gameplay you're about to see. The core concept of these levels is that your web shooters are broken, so you must rely on your other spider skills to beat them. That and this weird wrist-mounted flashlight thing. Each level has a kind of challenge, and being called parkour, you can probably imagine what the first one is. It's an obstacle course, starting with these giant raised surfaces. Then you run over this storm drain area, jumping from wall to wall, and in the next room, platform to platform. Then, after leaping across some columns, you'll finally complete the level, confirming also a theory of mine. dHedge mentioned that each level has a load trigger for the next, so it appears these were a sequence of challenge maps. Next on the list is the balance level, another platforming challenge, but this time with sweeping surfaces replaced by narrow pipes. These are barely the width of your body, so you really have to slow down and make careful moves. This goes on for a little while before giving way to more walls to climb. While doing so though, you might notice this drone, floating strangely in midair towards the end of the level. Considering how it isn't animated, it was probably left here as a mistake, but it ends up being a pretty funny omen for the final challenge. Loading into the stealth level, the first thing I noticed was this bizarre machine tucked haphazardly in the corner. I cannot tell you what this thing is, it doesn't even have a recognizable form. Going forward in the level though, we can put together a picture of what it might have been for. Running along the catwalks and into the drains, you'll come across more drones, but this time with bright red spotlights, searching you out. They seem to be guarding duplicates of that weird machine. Originally, I thought these might have contained collectibles, but dHedge doesn't appear able to interact with them. Maybe their true function never got to be programmed before the level was cut. And if you're wondering, the drones can catch you. Beaming their light into your eyes, several more will appear and zap you, forcing you to start over. These are the same drones that attack you in the retail game's combat missions, so this is probably how we got our web shooters deactivated. Beyond that though, there's a couple more rooms that vary in difficulty. The second is more open, making it harder to hide, and the final is tighter, making it harder to move. dHedge was only able to finish because he outran the drone that saw him. Here at the level's finish line, there's one thing you should take away from this. The levels are basically complete, they're playable, so why were they cut? Well, one possible reason is that they didn't fit the Spider-Man experience. Deactivating web shooters for a whole sequence is certainly a choice, and considering the flack Homecoming VR got when it didn't have swinging, Create VR might not have wanted to poke the hornet's nest. Interestingly, however, the developer's trimming of the levels is incredibly inconsistent. Trying to open them in the Oculus version of Far From Home VR met me with nothing. The maps aren't even in the game's files at all, so why were they left in the Steam version? And what's the situation for PSVR? Laziness, loss of time, or even intent could be to blame, but unless somebody else wants to send me another email with a new tip, this rabbit hole ends here. Thanks again to dHedge for his help uncovering all of this, and thank you for watching. If you enjoy Spider-Man VR games, consider subscribing.